If Moses didn't speak Hebrew, why is the entire story of Moses and the Exodus written in Hebrew? That's a great question. Remember, the Hebrew Bible wasn't written until centuries after Moses' supposed lifetime. The stories in the Bible were passed down orally for generations before they were finally written down. By the time these stories were recorded, Hebrew had developed into a written language, and the authors of the Bible were writing in the language that was spoken at that time. This means that the Hebrew we see in the Bible reflects a much later period than the time of Moses. So while Moses is described as speaking Hebrew in these texts, it's more likely that the real and legendary Moses would have communicated in a mix of ancient Egyptian and ancient Canaanite dialects. At the time Moses would have lived, ancient Egyptian was the language of the ruling class and the administrative elite, while the Canaanite dialects were spoken by the local populations in the Levant. Scholars believe that early Israelite language and culture were deeply influenced by both ancient Egypt and the Canaanites. This means Moses, if he existed, would have lived in a world where people were likely speaking a mix of ancient Egyptian, early Canaanite dialects, and possibly even some other regional languages. Hebrew, as we think of it, didn't come onto the scene until much later. So where does this leave us? The idea that Moses speaks Hebrew is more of a myth based on the later development of the Hebrew Bible. The Hebrew language we know today didn't exist during his time. While Hebrew became the sacred language of the Jewish people, it didn't reach this status until much later in history. The Moses story was written down in Hebrew because that was the language of the Israelites by the time the Bible was being composed, long after Moses was said to have lived. And that's okay.